Hi, I'm Jane,
And I'm Jen.
and we're SpielMill.
And we love games, and Jane loves data. Actually, I love data too.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But Jane was a data analyst before she got sick. So we have a lot of fun playing games and almost as much fun looking at our stats about games.
So we have a kind of crazy nerdy spreadsheet I built, fortunately, before I got sick, and we import our stats from Board Game Geek, and we record our stats using the BG Stats app. But we basically get all kinds of data out of it, and we look at it several times a week. To be honest, we look at our stats constantly, and we have a lot of fun. And we thought we'd share that experience of what games are we playing and what does that look like in the big picture. We're playing a lot of board games, and right now I'm leaning into it because I haven't been able to play board games for a couple of years. So we're really leaning into our ability to play board games again for even a short time.
Yeah, and one thing that's really interesting too is you can see the progression of her illness in our stats. If you look at our monthly plays, we have what we call the dip. And she was so sick during that time that we were barely able to do any gaming at all. And often,
Not even rolling rights.
yeah,
So.
and often paid a heavy price for that. And then we discovered roll and writes, and we began implementing some roll and writes from her chair that she could play even when she was pretty sick. So you can see our numbers go back up, and it's just really kind of interesting for us to be able to track the progression of her illness and some of her improvement by looking at our stats too.
Yeah, if you look at, we'll put it on the screen, for example, we're looking at our games played for this month. And for this month, Jen has played 160 games, and then I've played 236. Now, I solo a lot of games.
We are such nerds.
I don't know what's wrong with that.
No, nothing. I love it.
So, but if you look all the way on the left of this chart, the first several months, the most we plays you had a month was 16. The most plays of a game I had in a month was 11, and that's the dip that Jen was talking about.
And those 16 were I was probably playing Happy Salmon at work or something like that.
Yeah. And you see right after that, the next few months, there's a bit of a resurgence, but then there's another little dip where I had a crash.
Yep. And you can see November of this year, you had a crash. So it's kind of an interesting way to track that.
It's all relative. I had a crash, but I also got a little bit sick and rolling rights for a while.
Yeah.
So I think the two kind of came together in November. I was just done with it.
Yeah. If we could have played roll and rights when you crashed, but you were just done.
Yep. So anyway, at this point, we're at the end of the month, and as you can see, 160 plays for the month for Jen is her fourth highest total. This is over a 2-year window, and 236 plays for me is the third highest total over a 2-year window. And this is a bigger month though because we're playing table games again, so there's still roll and rights in the mix here. And I should point out that we do a crossword almost every night. We count that as a game played, so because we do it as a team, like a co-op game, and we do count that. So, that's about 20 to 25 plays right there. So there is a little bit of that as well.
Yep.
But so this is games we played for the first time this month, and we actually did pretty well. You played 22 games for the first time, and I played 21 games for the first time. I can't remember what the one game that differentiated from the two.
I had never recorded Dominion. Not Dominion. Yeah, Dominion.
A friend of ours just got Dominion for Christmas or something, and she brought it over, and I had 2 plays logged, but you had no plays logged. We both played more than 2.
Yeah, a lot more than 2
in the past, but we didn't log them really.
Yeah. You can see starting in really October, November, December, not really November, we started working on our shelf of opportunity again, which has been sitting there for 2.5 years. Almost all the new games, not all of them, but almost all the new games between August of 2021 and September or October of this year were roll and rights.
Yeah, you might think you have a large shelf of opportunity. I guarantee you we have a much, much bigger shelf of opportunity. It's huge right now because we couldn't play games. So can you imagine what that's like? The games keep coming in. We kept buying them because we felt like crap and we wanted to feel better.
And all those Kickstarters that sort of were delayed during the pandemic, woo, we got a pile. So we're trying to knock some of those out. We're hoping to keep that number high over the next couple months.
Yeah, our goal is to keep at least 20 to 25 a month new plays. So we did pretty well. We did over 20 in January. We also played, I should mention, a bunch of expansions. We did a 5x5 in January. And on the 5x5, we played Agricola. And we played the Farmers of the Moor expansion for the first time. We played Architects of the West Kingdom for the first time in a while. We'd played it before, but we also played the expansion, two expansions for that.
Yep.
And then we played Paladins of the West Kingdom. We played the expansion for that.
Yep.
And then another game on our 5x5 was Morels, and we played the Foray expansion for that.
Yeah, and none of those show up as first plays. So.
Yeah, they don't show up as first plays because we don't log them expansions in a way that has them show up in the stats, and that's something I can figure out, but I haven't. And with my health not being what it used to, my brain doesn't work like it used to. So I don't know. We'll see if that makes sense. So anyway, that's first plays. Another stat we look at a lot is unique games overall. So how many unique games, including those first plays that we have, and you had 45, and I had 51. And here you see those extra games that I soloed.
Yep.
A lot of dungeon pages. I played Medici the dice game the other day when you were working, and stuff like that. Just games. When you were, I was gonna say when you were away, I played Final Girl, but we played it together when you got back. Yeah. So and Coffee Roaster.
Yep.
Both really great solo games. So anyway, so you get the idea there. You can see that we're not playing quite as much as we were, say, May to August of last year. And those were mostly roll and writes, though. So playing unique roll and writes in a month, much easier. Plus, we kind of made a game of it where we tried to play as many as possible. So that's why it got that high. So
yep,
that's kind of unique in that way. So we also look at our total weight. So we just add up, like we played a game of Agricola as a 3.6 or something. And then we play a game of Tabanusi, it's a 3.8. We add them together, it'd be like a 7.3, or my math is off at the moment, 7.4. And we just add them up so that total weight in January, Jen played 219.9 total weight, which is her 5th highest total in 2 years. So that's really good in terms of a lot of games. Again, we had a heavy 5x5. Played Agricola. We played, what else did we play on the 5x5? Tabanusi.
Yep. Oh my God.
Orleans.
Yeah, and Orleans. Those were the 3 big ones. And Scout and Morels were the smaller ones.
Scout and Morels were the opposite.
It's funny, though. If you play 200 plays of a roll and write, it still adds up to a lot of weight.
Yeah, it does. It adds up, and we'll see more stats where the weight comes into play. For January, I had 285.2 total weight, which looks like my 6th highest total in the last 2 years. So pretty good. All these numbers, some of these numbers are just totally dwarfed by a run of Gloomhaven 3 years ago, though, which you don't see in this chart. We were glad when it dropped off the chart because it was just throwing off the whole chart.
Oh my gosh, the scale was wrong. You just couldn't see anything because Gloomhaven was so high.
This is one of my attempts to make up a stat. You might be familiar with H-index. Well, I came up with one called weight index, and we look at, I lump in, for example, we played 13 games this month that were between 3.5 and 4 weight. And then, so that means in this world, that means we had a 3.5 weight index. Does that make much sense?
Makes us happy.
It's kind of interesting.
Well, it is too, especially because that weight index has not scared 2.5 in a minute.
Oh, this is it's exciting for us to see that. 13 games with a 3.5 or higher weight. Fantastic.
I know.
We haven't broken 4 yet since we've been back playing, but that's next.
Yeah, that is next.
We're coming for you 4.
We're coming for you.
So obviously another thing we look at is hours played. And I actually set a 2-year record this month with 94.8 hours played. So that's about 24 hours a week. And that's all I do. So it's quite a bit of time. And to be fair, it's like 2 hours of gaming followed by an hour of napping.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of napping. I've been napping since we started playing table games again. I am napping almost nonstop. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's also appropriate since I have a chronic illness. So
Yeah. And it gives me time to do the dishes. So
so she cleans while I do that. And Jen had 76.4. She works a full-time job, a demanding full-time job on top, and visited her dad this month. So
and I'm on 2 boards.
and she's on 2 boards of directors. It's crazy. So she's a go-getter. I used to be in theory, but
Oh yeah, you were.
That was
I couldn't keep up
that was
with you.
before. So so this next stat's kind of a made-up stat too. What we do is we multiply the weight of a game times the length of a game in hours, and we come up with a number. And it's so for this month, we both set new records for the last 2 years. You had 179.2 weighted hours, weighted game hours is what we call it. And I had 209.6. Sorry, I got to lean in to see it.
Yummy. Well, and here's where you can kind of see the difference between all of our roll and writes and playing
Right, you
actual
remember
table games.
May to August, I believe, were the months that were pinned at the top when it came to unique games played. But here, when it comes to weighted game hours, they don't compare to what we're doing now with table games. So
Yeah.
That makes sense. It just makes sense. Table games are heavier.
Yep.
So
Most of them.
and a lot of the roll and writes don't even have a weight on BGG because not enough people have voted. So remember to vote on weight when you're on BGG so that we can have better stats. But
Do it for us.
do it for us. Come on. So anyway, this is a table of data that kind of shows where all this data comes from. And you can see this yellow means that these are all annual records, meaning these are the highest numbers so far in 2023. Well, duh.
Woo!
It's January. It's the first month.
We're killing it.
But there is something exciting down here. Ooh, you see that dark green? That's because that's an all-time record. That's the highest I've ever done.
Wow.
Not just a 2-year record, an all-time record.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. And we actually have this other way to look at it, this Momax chart. There's a lot going on here.
But you weren't timing your games until maybe 2019, 2018. Like all those Gloomhaven plays weren't timed.
Yeah. Well, that actually drives the numbers up. So that's surprising. But you can see the 94.8. I got to fix the color coding on this because it should be dark green. But anyway, it beats this 93.1, which we originally set in 2020, which would have been Gloomhaven Fest.
Yep.
So basically playing through the campaign in Gloomhaven. Are we excited for Frosthaven?
Yes, we are.
All right, so, and here you see, this is actually not very useful right now because this is projection of we're going to finish the month. Well, guess what? We're at the end of the month, so all the numbers match up. So we're not going to look at that very long. And this is another way to look at those projections. And this is just shows us a comparison between yesterday or the last time we did stats, and so yesterday and today. And most of our stats actually went down today. We played a lot of light games today, some Morels, some Scout, some Dungeon Pages. So it wasn't a heavy gaming day. So
We
most
both
of our
had a
stats
long
went
day,
down.
so
Yeah, as a dentist, I had to go to the dentist, which is a journey for me. I'm surprised I'm still vertical, but I won't be after this. And really, I pay the price the day after, so we'll see how I am tomorrow. But anyway, this is our monthly stats. So in addition to the monthly stats, we also look at our annual stats. It's a lot of the same data, so we're not going to...
Oh yeah, this isn't...
We're going to jump kind of ahead. Actually, this is kind of interesting now because you could see, for example, we saw that Jen played 160 games in January. But what you don't see is that we really ramped up our gaming around 2018-19.
Yeah. Part of that, though, is also you started to get sick, and we stopped doing things like playing disc golf.
That's true.
The last time we played disc golf was in 2019, and it just became too much for you. And so what are we going to do? We're going to play board games. So, board games have, honest to God, been a lifesaver for us as you've gotten sicker, as we've been unable to go do the things that we were spending so much time doing previously. Board games have been able to fill that.
Board games are the mana of life. I try to maintain a serious stare there.
I can't. But you can see, you can see though that looks like, so 2019, board games are coming in. They're taking over our disc golf spots. You're still able to play. 2020 getting sicker. 2021 just crashed, just dreadful year. And it really was 2022 when we started adaptive gaming, and you had a little bit of an improvement that we were able to get back to the table.
And we played more games in 2022, though they were almost all roll and writes. So she played 1,427 games, which beat her 1364, but the 1364 she played in 2019 was a lot of table games.
Yeah.
So, and then you could look at my stats for the same period, and I kind of crushed it last year, almost 2,000 games. A lot of soloing, roll and writes. I'm not a huge fan of Medici, the dice game, but it's a quick solo game, and I've played it like 20 times. So it's just what it is. What are you going to do? It helps cure that boredom we talked about, not in this video, in another one. Whoops. So, but you get the idea. So there's a lot of boredom with chronic illness. And again, we look at unique games. We're able to compare it to previous years. And so it's kind of fun because we go like, she's got 45 unique games in January. Well, that beats 2015. Look at that.
Woo! Man, I almost beat 2017, but no dice.
And the same thing for me. I have 51 so far, and that beats 2015, 2016, 2017. I'm 19 games away from 2018. So you can see how our game plays have really ramped up. And this is a banded chart, so you see the different bands. So the ones in blue are the games that we played once that year. The ones in red are games that we played twice. The ones in yellow are games that we played 3 times. The ones in green we played 4 times. The games with orange we played 5 times. The ones in aqua blue there are games we played 6 to 10 plays. The games in the purple looking thing are games we played 11 to 15 times. And the games in that, what do you call that green?
Chartreuse.
Chartreuse are games we played 16 or more times. And you can see that in 2022, there were 29 of them. A lot of roll and writes in that bunch.
Almost, I mean, nothing but roll and writes, basically. Yeah.
Yep. And we did the quest calendars, which is like 100 plays. So
yeah. Actually, the crew's probably in there too. That's probably the only one
the
that's
crew.
not a roll and write that's up there.
Notre Dame's up there. And there's a reason for that. Irish Catholic, born from New Jersey, and makes you a Notre Dame University football fan. And so we play Notre Dame before every Notre Dame game.
We do indeed.
I don't know.
3 games at a time.
3 games at a time, so we play it a lot. We love that game, and it's not about the university, we know.
Don't add us.
Played game weight again. This is one of our stats that we look at, kind of summing up the total weight of the games that we played. Looks pretty cool. We beat the 2015, 16, 17. Again, we did the weight index on an annual rate, and an annual rate,
it's going to be the same as January.
It's going to be the same as January, 3.5. So minutes per day. So far this year, we are crushing it. 183.4 for me, 147.8 for Jen. I don't do anything else, so
yeah.
Now we film a little bit.
I have some work travel coming up, so mine's going to plummet. That's always depressing to get back from a trip and see my numbers down.
That's it. Yeah, so there's a negative side of stats. And then we do the projections, and this is what we didn't really look at too closely. I don't know how you slam that. Too closely in the monthly, but this is looking at if we continue the rest of the year at the same pace, how many games will we play, how many unique games will we play, how many previously played unique games, which means games that are not new to us but unique, whereas first play unique games are games that we played for the first time this year. Total unique games would be the combo of the two. Games played are what they are. This is how many games we played. So played 20 games in Notre Dame, plus 10 games of Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. That's 30. So
I am sure that some of these numbers are going to dip for a whole variety of reasons. I did actually travel this month though, so it's pretty incredible. But I want to point out what's super funny is if you look at my weighted game hours, because I was much more rigorous about recording Gloomhaven when we played through in 2018.
2020.
No, it wasn't 2020.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't. That was the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it was 2018.
Okay. You're probably right.
Yeah, it was 2018. Anyway, the weighted game hours, the record for weighted game hours is insane because we were playing like 12 hours of Gloomhaven a day on the weekends or 4 and 5 hours at night. And it's a super heavy game. And so, I mean, I just destroyed the opportunity for me to ever beat that. Even if we kept up this crazy pace right now, I would not beat my all-time record for that.
So you can see, for example, that Jayne's stats under weighted game hours is a lighter green than everything else. That's because it's above average, but it's below the record.
Yep.
Everything else is above record pace. I don't know. We have a lot going on potentially this year, and my illness has ups and downs. So
yeah.
What we are able to maintain, I don't know. But as long as we're able to play games, we're going to play games.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So this is just a chart where we look at it from day to day to see how we're trending. And again, today was a light day, so it trended down on our overall annual projections. So that's that. So all time is another stat category we look at.
We love our stats. Data.
So we got to wait for a sec for this to load, but it's, this is like how many total games we've ever played. And it gives you an idea of why we do the content, because we played a lot of games, so we think we have some insight into games, and I don't know. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but we'd like to share.
I am 1 4-weight game away from hitting the target on weight. What's 4-weight? Let's get it out. Where's Lisboa?
I'm
we got to play Lisboa before the day's
I'm
over.
3 hours short of we randomly set goals. They weren't well set, so.
I'm telling you, Lisboa would take care of both of those.
I'm not playing Lisboa.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to sleep after this, girl.
I know.
So, when we look at annual stats, we made up this chart. Now, this is really interesting. So, this is a chart for Jen. She's played 657 different games 1 to 5 times. So, like, maybe she played Architects of the West Kingdom 4 times. That'd be in there.
Yep.
But she's played 95 games 6 to 10 times over her lifetime. 28 games 11 to 15 times. So this gives you an idea of how many times we played some games. And you can go all the way to the bottom, 101 plus plays. She's played 2 games that often. The Crew and one of the quest calendars, I assume.
No, it's a crossword.
Oh, the
over 100 on the
crossword.
Crossword, yeah.
Okay, not the quest calendar.
Yeah. Don't judge us for including the crossword. We started doing it when we really were not having a great time. So
yeah,
it's
a game
it
for
made
us.
us feel good. Yeah.
It's like a cooperative game that we play and we enjoy it. It's just, but it's certainly not. Some people may not consider it a game, and that's fine. So you can discount us the 300 plus games a year. We only started doing that last year, so
yeah.
So that's definitely inflated our game totals. And this is just a numerical way of showing that since the last time we did this 2 days ago, apparently we didn't record it yesterday, her stats have changed in several areas. She has 1 less game with 1 to 5 plays because it moved into the 6 to 10 play category.
Morels.
And that would have been Morels. And then she had 1 that moved out of the 21 to 25 category into the 26 to 30 play category. And that would have been Scout.
Scout, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been Scout. So, all right. And we have another version of it here that we only update that when we do 50 plus plays. But so here's my chart for the same thing. So I've played 671 different games 1 to 5 times, 93 games 6 to 10 times, 41 games 11 to 15 times, 18 games 16 to 20 times, all the way down to 4 games that I've played over 100 times. 2 of them are quest calendars, which are these daily calendars where it takes 2 minutes to play. You do it daily for a whole year.
Or if you're me, you do it less than daily, but you still do it.
Well, I did it less than daily too, but I did it more than 100 times.
Yeah.
So I managed to get in 2 of those last year, plus, and that's a lot of the plays too, plus the Crew and crossword puzzle. So
yeah.
But you can see, get an idea.
And that 76 or 100 is that Notre Dame?
That's Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have one game that I've played 76 to 100 times, and it's Notre Dame by Stefan Feld. So that's just kind of hilarious. But so again, we can see what kind of changes between the last time we did this and today, and I had the same thing. Scout moved into the 26 to 30 game territory, but also Morels moved from 1 to 5 plays to 6 to 10. So the yellow highlights show us where the changes occurred.
Yeah, and those are actually often not the same for Jayne and I because she does play so many solo games. The movement is different for her chart than mine most days.
So then, we look at that to see if there's any movement in the 50 plus. There isn't. So now we look at our weight index for all time, and that doesn't move. It's basically stuck at 4.
Yeah.
We'd have to play games at 4.5 level to move it up.
Like 3 games at 4.5 level,
Yep.
and that's not happening for a minute.
Mm-mm.
That's Lisboa. It's the only
That's the only
4.5
thing
we
we
have.
played there. So then what we do is we kind of came up with a bunch of different H indexes we look at. So we looked at, for example, the games on BGG that are 0 weight. Basically, they have no weight listed. Mm-hmm. And we came up with our H index for those games.
Yep.
And so for Jen, it's 9, and for me, it's 10, and it didn't move today. So then we look at the 1 weight games, and we look at our H index for those. And these are the games that have a weight between 1 and 1.999, or, under 2 on Board Game Geek. And Jen's H index for this is 25 and mine is 27. So you can obviously those numbers are going to be higher than.
Yeah, and so sometimes we'll look at this and like Dice Miner is right below the cutoff, and I love Dice Miner. So if we're like, oh, what should we play today? We might say,
Play some Dice Miner, get that H index up.
Yeah, it's a great filler. Like, hey, let's focus on that this week.
So we did do that, and then we certainly game the game.
We game the game, yeah. It's like, hey, let's get that rolling bonus, and that's going to trigger another H index.
And I've done this a couple different ways, but I'm going to stick to the whole numbers here. So for our weight from 2 to 2.99, Jen's H index is 15 and mine is 17. Yeah. I mean, lower than the 1 to 1.99, obviously. We play more of those. And then overall, you get more games then. They tend to be shorter games. And then this is our weight for games that are weighted 3 to 3.99. And we both have a 6 weight index here. Mm-hmm. We are so close to moving it to 7. One more play of the Village would do it for us. Or Brewcrafters.
Oh, we'll get Brewcrafters in, and Terraforming Mars are both on an 5x5.
So we'll get them at some point. And then finally, our most exciting one, games with a 4+ weight on BGG. Our weight index is 3, and that's because there really isn't that many. But you can see the games that we've played in that area: Spirit Island, Through the Ages, and the Gallerist, the ones we've played the most.
Yep.
So we're big Lacerda fans. We do like our Lacerdas.
And those, of course, are always going to be the same for you and I, because I can't see either one of us playing a 4-weight game solo. I mean, I guess it could happen, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're probably always going to be the same, but... So then we look at series of games. Like, so what about those games where, like, maybe we only played 10 Railroad Ink Blue and 15 Railroad Ink Green, but that means we've played 25 Railroad Ink total, right?
Yep. Or Pandemic, Ticket to Ride. We've played so many of those games, and yet because we play 8 different versions of Ticket to Ride or something like that, and 5 different versions of Pandemic, they don't show up. And that irked us. We wanted credit. I wanted credit for that.
So we track our H indexes here, and you got a 23 H index for Jen and a 25 for me. And just keep trying to drive that up, and you can see Jen's really close to going up. One more play of Shipwreck Arcana.
Which I can't find.
Which is somewhere around the house. So,
well, Ticket to Ride. We'll have to play Ticket to Ride.
Yep. Now I'm going to jump ahead here. We have a couple H indexes that look at time periods. So this is just looking at the last 5 years. So Jen's H index is 28, and mine's 32. Again, we're just trying to get it up. I'm really close to 33. A couple games of Dead Ball. Spring training's coming up.
Yep. Scout.
I had one move. Our 2-year
Oh, wow.
H index.
Dungeon Pages, of course.
Mine just went up from 25 to 26. And that's because I've been playing a lot of Dungeon Pages, which is a really great roll and write print and play from Jason Tagmeyer, Button Shy Games, and Jason Greeno, whose affiliation I'm blanking on. But anyway, it's excellent print and play, dungeon crawl, roll and write, and I've been playing a lot. I've played it 26 times.
I am taking, I'm telling you right now, Agropolis with me when I go to Idaho for work next week.
I see that. You need 3 plays of it.
Yep. I can get that done in a hotel by myself.
And then, of course, we look at the last year. And these, by the way, these 3 time periods are to the day. So this is, the last year is literally from like February 1st last year to January 31st this year. Okay, and it's looking at that year. So one of the crazy things about looking at your H-index this way is it can go down.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, it could be higher because games drop off that you played last January. So that can happen. Yeah. But as you can see, Jen's H-index for the last year has been 20 and mine has been 24.
Yeah.
So Dungeon Pages core set is right there. Now we also look at this by weight, of course, because how else can we look at it? If there's another way we can look at our data, we're going to do it, even if it doesn't make any sense. We're going to do it, and we're going to have fun doing it.
Yes, we are.
And so Jen's weight H-index, this means, so what this is if Voyages is a 1 weight, and we play it 38 times, then it'll be a 38 weight for the weight H-index. And so we do this for all these games. Jen's is 37. She's really, really close to 38. She looks like just a 1 play possibly of Can't Stop Express.
No, but it's just not going to happen. We got to play Pandemic again.
You're not going to play Can't Stop Express?
I don't know. That game.
Well,
you have minus 600 points.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. But
vicious.
And I'm also very close to going up as well here. I just need to get Hanabi or Tapestry up. King Domino.
Yeah. Scout's coming up strong.
Scout is Surgeon.
1 game of Pandemic would probably do it too.
And so we do the exact same thing. We look at our played game hours of individual games, and we come up with an H-index for that. And Jen's is 16 and mine is 17. And again, this is based on the total hours times the number of plays. And so, Jen has played 16.48 hours of Agricola in her life. 16 hours of farming seems like she's getting off easy,
Only 12 hours of those were spent crying.
12 hours of feeding the family. Anyway, so, and I've got to get Railroad Ink Lush Green on that. But Charterstone's not enough to carry. But, so anyway, we do it by hours, and then we do it by our made-up stat weighted hours, which again, for each game, we multiply the weight times the hours of play, the time of play, which we log. And so Jen's weighted hours H-index is 30, and mine is 34.
It's hysterical. If you look at this, so Hanabi is 22. There's 38 weighted hours. Such a light game, and it's short too. So we clearly have played a lot of Hanabi. But the Gallerist, I know for a fact we've played 5 times. That was on a 5x5 like 3 years ago. But it's way up there because it's such a heavy, long game.
Yeah. So it shows up, and so this is just different ways for us to look at our stats, see what games are popping, give us little mini goals to shoot for. We have a to watch list, which shows us which ones are approaching our actual H-indexes in the different categories. And so you can see that for me, Hanabi is approaching that area on 4 of those lists that we just looked at. So that's pretty neat. And I don't know, it's just, we just look at our stats. We like to do it.
Yeah. I mean,
no judgment.
It's gaming the game, like you said. Like, we love gaming. We love stats and data, and it's just another way to get more fun out of the fun that we're having.
And I've got to go because I'm going to crash. But we wanted to share our stats with you because we thought it'd be fun. So hopefully you found it fun too. And if you have any comments or feedback or ideas for stats, or you want info from us, or
how else can we look at this?
You have some questions to ask us, I don't know. Drop them down below and Don't forget to subscribe or like the
and
video.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Please do. We need the likes and subscribes. We're a new channel, so.
Yep. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram. That's it.
Where you can.
Less dramatic than I started out.
I mean, it was dramatic how you did it. Well, anyway, remember, every day that you game
Is a holiday.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.